Rebel Force Radio presents.
This is Billy Dee Williams, Lando Calrissian. It's time for the quote of the week.
Billy Dee Williams, quote of the week.
All right, this is something I've been waiting for, Jason, for quite some time. And we got an email from Josh L. in Florida who let us know that Billy Dee made a cameo on the show Man Up, starring Dan Fogler from Fanboys. Now, you, of course, have heard us in the past talk about Man Up. We featured it on Star Wars and Pop Culture when they did an episode about Kenny, a.k.a. Dan Fogler, a.k.a. Hutch from Fanboys. Kenny, his Betamax broke, so we couldn't watch his original vintage copy, beta copy of Star Wars A New Hope. And so lots of great Star Wars stuff in that episode. And it had been revealed early on that Billy Dee would be making a cameo on Man Up, which I waited for with bated breath. I couldn't wait for it. And we were so excited to see the episode. And then ABC went and canceled Man Up. Oh, ABC needs to man up because that was a funny show. And we are fans of Dan Fogler. As a matter of fact, Dan was attempting to call us about a month ago while we were live on the air, and for some bizarre technical reason, he couldn't get through to us, and we were going to reschedule the interview. But now that Man Up is off the air, I don't think we'll be talking to Dan about Man Up anytime soon.
No, but I'm sure Dan will have another project, and that'll give him an excuse to come.
Of course he will. Of course he will.
Talented guy, funny guy. And, you feel, Jim, sometimes like you almost don't want to commit to a new series because, as soon as you commit to it and you like it, they're going to pull the rug out from under you.
And it's such a small sample audience that they take these ratings numbers from and then they extrapolate it to a larger base. And so that in itself is extremely inaccurate. And nowadays you're dealing with so many alternate ways of watching television via iTunes, internet, DVR recordings, DVD releases. So it's really hard to get an accurate gauge of what your audience is. But these Nielsen ratings, that's big business for these companies. And that's not going anywhere because that's where advertising dollars come from. That's how they gauge the worth of a show. So Man Up didn't pass the test, unfortunately. For that, we're sorry. My son Michael, being a big Fanboys fan, really enjoyed watching the further adventures of Hutch. I think that's how he looked at this show, this is just Hutch a few years later.
Right.
And so it's unfortunate the show was canceled, but we are lucky to have the internet and sites like ABC.com and Hulu that will air these episodes, these unaired episodes. When I heard Man Up was canceled, I knew that the Billy Dee cameo episode was in the can and ready to be released. There were actually 5 unaired episodes of Man Up. They're all online now. You can see them at the websites I just mentioned. And one of those episodes is called Fear. And that is the episode you want to look for because it has a great Billy Dee cameo in it. Now, in this episode, Dan Fogler's character, Kenny, is in the hospital. He's being treated for his buddy thought he was breaking into the house. Classic sitcom guffaws over a mistaken identity. He thinks he's being robbed, and so he beats Dan Fogler to a pulp with a bunch of soda cans and a pillowcase.
Uh-huh.
I think that's how they do it in prison. And so Dan's in the hospital. Dan found out that Billy Dee Williams was in the same hospital he was at while he was visiting another character earlier on in the episode.
Not a character played by Billy Dee, the Billy Dee Williams.
It's Billy Dee playing Billy Dee, the role he was born to play. And
no one else can.
Think about that for a second. You know what? Really, no one else can. I've seen people attempt to impersonate Billy Dee Williams and try to pull off his suave coolness to zero success.
Absolutely.
Got to leave it alone. There's only one Billy Dee on this earth, and he appeared on Man Up. So here's a little setup scene. This is when Dan Fogler, a.k.a. Kenny, finds out Billy Dee is staying in this very hospital.
Oh, my God. Is that Billy Dee Williams?
No. Yes. Can you believe it? The man who played Lando Calrissian in Star Wars is in this hospital.
What is he in for?
Sir, he's a patient. I can't tell you that.
Shows him the clipboard.
Oh, of course. Classic Lando.
I know, right?
This is incredible. I got to go to Will's house and get my Lando action figure so Billy Dee Williams can sign it.
Yeah, so see, he's thinking like a true fan. He's going to go home and get his action figure and have Billy Dee sign it. So that's when he sneaks into the house and they think he's a robber. He gets beat up. And now Dan Fogler is in the hospital waiting to get his room. And he has his Lando action figure. It's actually one of those 12-inch Landos that Kenner put out in the 90s when the Star Wars line was being relaunched. Remember those 12-inchers?
Those were terrible.
I was never a fan of those 12-inch figures. Obviously, companies like
Sideshow.
They put a lot of love and care into it.
But the Hasbro ones,
those were gross.
Yeah.
But so he had it though. He had it. Do you remember that story about Celebration 2? I was standing in line to get Billy Dee's autograph. There was an assistant sitting next to Billy Dee. She said, "Name, please." Because she was putting the names for personalizations on Post-it notes, and then she would put the Post-it note on the memorabilia that Billy Dee was going to sign, and she'd move it down the table. I said, she said, "Name, please." I said, "Sign it to Jim, please." And Billy Dee was dealing with the customer ahead of me in line, and he had his 12-inch Hasbro figure from the 90s, and he wrote on it, "To Jim, Billy Dee Williams." I still feel bad about that. I wonder if that guy's listening, if he actually has that 12-inch Lando. Please take a picture of it and send it to us, and I'll get you a Billy Dee autograph somehow. Maybe I'll be put in the same hospital room with Billy Dee. You never know. I live a very reckless lifestyle. I could end up in a hospital at any given moment, and I could be sharing the room with Billy Dee Williams, just like Dan Fogler was on Man Up. So here they are. They're wheeling Dan into the room, and he sees that he is going to be sharing the room with Billy Dee Williams.
Why, you slimy, double-crossing, no-good swindler. You got a lot of guts coming here after what you pulled.
Are you talking to me?
No. I was just running lines from The Empire Strikes Back. It soothes me when I'm feeling stressed.
Me too.
Would you do me a favor?
Anything, Mr. D. Williams.
Would you play the part of Han Solo?
Thank you, universe. I'm sorry I ever doubted you.
Okay, we'll start in the cockpit of the Millennium Falcon.
I guess those were Chewbacca sounds there.
Now, we never actually saw Lando and Han in the cockpit of the Millennium Falcon.
Well, see, that's why Dan made the Chewie sounds there, because that Billy Dee was, he just needed a little nudge. Now Dan's not going to tell Billy Dee, listen, they never shared the cockpit together. I better go into Chewie mode right now.
Right.
So he just does it, and then Billy Dee probably picked up on it. But unfortunately, the scene ended right there, so we don't know what happened with those two.
We don't know if a lecture ensued about keeping the hospital room strictly G level.
That's right. But very interesting, though, to hear Billy Dee step back in time 31 years ago and deliver one of those famous lines from Empire Strikes Back.
I wonder if they had to remind him what the line was, or if it's like that line. You know how Carrie Fisher has that one line from the screen test that she'll never forget as long as she lives, and she can recite it on command?
Yeah, Carrie's got a few of them, but she's much more of a literal beast than, and I'm not calling Carrie Fisher. I'm sorry. Let me take that back. Carrie works with words, I think, a lot more than Billy Dee would. I think it just goes, when Billy Dee's done with it, he just moves on to the next thing.
Right.
The only thing Billy Dee really can retain at all time is his passion for artwork and the ladies.
Well, and singing. He never forgets the that one tune, that one, I can't think of it now all of a sudden, but the one that he always breaks into if people ask him to sing.
Yeah, that's been the new thing now at conventions when Billy Dee is
time after time.
Yeah. He's doing his great Q&As, which always provokes some sort of just great Billy Dee moment. He can't really even walk into a room without providing us with quote-worthy material. That's why the Billy Dee Quote of the Week has been going on this show for the last 4.5 years.
Yeah.
So really, it's just a real testament to the man himself, just by looking at the track record of all the quotes we played. One of these days, we'll take every one of those quotes and we'll play them back to back to back to back to back. But it'll be worth it. It'll be worth it. That'll be the last episode, the last Billy Dee Quote of the Week segment ever.
Well, we got more quotes here. We got a couple more.
Well, these are just now, what we like to do is we like to then isolate the magic moments within the scenes.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought these were different. These are
the same, but these are just the quote of the week propers. These are the two isolated quotes of Billy Dee's from that segment that I've chosen. Billy Dee Quote of the Week quotes.
Why, you slimy, double-crossing, no-good swindler. You got a lot of guts coming here after what you pulled.
Now, see, he puts a little something different onto that line than he did way back when during Empire Strikes Back.
Oh, yeah. It has more layers.
Yeah, it's probably even better. So what I think George needs to do is just take that line, and for when Empire comes out in 3D, just overdub that onto that scene. Because in the scene in Empire, he's like, you got a lot of guts coming after what you pulled. Right. But in this, he really puts he goes, you got a lot of guts coming. A lot of guts. He's like busting a vein. You got a lot of guts. That's
what landed him in the hospital.
So he needed to relax. And how does he do that?
I was just running lines from The Empire Strikes Back. It soothes me when I'm feeling stressed. And a lot of guts coming back.
Rebel Force Radio.